Fortnite UEFN needs to pick a lane. Epic also probably needs to decide whether their investment is going towards UEFN and this is their new platform for new user acquisition, or are they focusing on Fortnite? Fortnite is losing players every day, right?
Welcome back to Brands and Play, your podcast for everything immersive marketing. I'm Albane Prioux, strategic marketing consultant.
And I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse. This week on the show, puzzle and shooter games lead mobile gaming ad opportunities according to eMarketer. Advertisers are leveraging Reddit to game the system with AI. And we're taking a look at the impressive Roblox Q3 earning report.
That's right, and after that, for our real-time review, I'll be checking out the new Simpsons activation on Fortnite.
And later, we'll be sitting down with Margot Rodde, founder and CEO of the gaming studio Creators Corp. We'll get her take on how Fortnite measures up against the other leading UGC gaming platforms in the space.
That's right, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the show. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Albane, what's up? How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? How was your Halloween weekend? I know it's very big in the US.
Halloween is a big deal here in LA, especially my neighborhood. It was awesome. I dressed up. Did you dress up?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not as big here. So I would say, like, if you don't have kids, you're not really into it.
Well, my neighborhood is massive. And this year, I dressed up as an Italian brain rot character.
Oh, great.
The
Which
one and only Chimpanzini Bananini.
Oh,
Did
amazing.
you see it? I just slacked you.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was funny
Did
because
people get it? Or like did they just say like I feel like there would have been kids that would have gotten it and adults that would be like, this is just a guy like dressed as a banana but is a monkey.
you nailed it. I when I was putting the costume together, I told my wife about it. She's like, I don't understand. I told everyone else my age. They were like, I don't even know what Italian brain rot is. And so I was like on the fence. I was like, is this gonna go over? And I literally like walked out of my house and this little crew of kids walked by and they're like, what's that guy? Chimpanzee monkey? And he's like, oh, Chimpanzini Bananini, like immediately. And I was I
Oh,
had
so
felt so verified.
you were the cool dad. You were the one that got, got the hints, got the culture of the youth.
Yeah, well, it was definitely, I was on the pulse of that and I got shout outs throughout the night, which was pretty fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I don't know. Italian brain rot's still around. We'll see what happens.
That's great.
What about you? Any updates?
Not many updates on my side. It's bonfire nights at the moment in the UK. So there's a lot of like lovely fireworks that are happening throughout. So that's what I did. I went to the countryside and just saw lots of like different fireworks, which was really lovely. So a lot more chilled, but we don't do Halloween as much. So like there's a few pub kids here or there, but I feel like the US just really does Halloween like no other country. So I would love one day to spend Halloween in the US just to like experience it.
It should. And you should check out Halloween in Los Angeles because a lot of the people that live in the neighborhoods are like, they work in the film industry. So it's
Fair,
like prop
yes,
people
I
who
do.
build set design,
Oh my
so some of
God.
these houses are tricked out. It's pretty cool.
Really? Okay, I would love to see that. I know like you guys are really known for Christmas, but I would love to see Halloween.
Halloween's a
Anyway, we
banger.
have a lot to cover this week with Roblox and Fortnite, lots of announcements. So shall we go into the news?
Let's go to the news.
All right, so like the first story of today is puzzle and shooter games are leading mobile gaming ads opportunity. That is according to eMarketer. I thought that was one that I wanted to pick up just because it's something that we talk about. We talk about Roblox a lot, but I think it was important as well to highlight the opportunities of different genre games. And like UGC platforms or shooter game, I feel like are kind of the obvious choice. But one that we don't speak a lot about is puzzle games. So I know that we speak about Candy Crush that can be considered in some way as a puzzle game. But something that eMarketer has highlighted within their recent report was also the how do you call it? The popularity of puzzle games and how much marketer can essentially tap into those really popular puzzle games. So one of the numbers that also caught my attention was that mobile gaming in-app purchases revenue has now reached 21 billion That is
Wow.
only in Q3 2025. So I think really interesting to put that into perspective. We are going to delve into the earnings of Roblox, but just to show the sheer volume of microtransaction that are happening within those mobile games. And strategy, puzzle, and RPG games are currently leading the field. They are bringing
Hmm.
together 2 billions, which is massive. And something that Dentsu has highlighted in previous studies before is that only 5% of media is actually going towards mobile gaming, which is a huge gap when you think about the amount of time people are spending on there. And it kind of goes with another article that I saw on the New York Times gaming app. Are you familiar with this one?
No, I mean, I know the app, but I don't use it.
So have you played Wordle at all? Like, were you part
Yeah,
of?
I know Wordle.
Okay, so that's part of like one of the games that you can play on there. And it's obviously smaller than Roblox, but still, like, just you think, so the New York Times app essentially has Wordle. They also have different kind of like word puzzle games, but that is 10 million daily active users alone. So just to like show a little bit the volume of people that are on a daily basis playing those kind of games. So whether they are the biggest opportunity, I am skeptical around that. I still think there's other platforms that you can do media. But what I thought was interesting is that these puzzle games are actually reaching an audience that maybe is skewed more older. And that could be quite interesting for marketers that are currently struggling to reach some of these audiences. So that was quite an interesting piece of insights. But I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's just more evidence and proof that this is such a growing industry and it's an
That's right.
untapped one. And I think that it's a good reminder that all kinds of different people of different ages are gamers.
That's
So
right.
if a lot of older people are playing puzzles, it's a way to reach those target demos that you're looking for. So I think that's really smart.
What do you have next?
So for my story, it's all about how brands are shifting their ad spend to Reddit. And of course, Reddit is the social news aggregation and discussion website. I saw this story about how major brands are pouring their ad dollars into not just the traditional ad placement of buying media on Reddit, but more this kind of subversive strategy. So there's this leaked industry deck stating that marketers are treating Reddit as a new kind of search engine, one that feeds directly into AI systems like ChatGPT and Google Gemini. So essentially, their strategy, they're basically sending their marketing teams in to the platform, reviving old threads, seeding new discussions, and hiring third-party groups to generate content that could later appear in AI-generated search results. So basically, like gaming the system a little bit, like coming in and talking about their products, talking about their brand. Um, it's supposed to be organic, but this is sort of contrived. And so then what happens is the chatbots, they crawl these sites and that's where they pull out a lot of their information from. And I think that the AI platforms, they're essentially putting more value in these platforms like Reddit because it's supposed to be more organic or authentic or more like populist discussion. Um, and a negative take on this is like that's fake, right? So it's like it's not real. It's more contrived. And I see a world where all this could be automated. You could have bots come in and just dump a bunch of information about your brand into platforms like Reddit, and then the other bots kind of scraping all of that and formulating an opinion. I don't know. It's subversive marketing. It's super smart, but also I feel like it's a little tricky. What are your thoughts?
I'm all for it because I mean I've been saying that for quite some time that I think brands should really look into Reddit because this is what all of those LLMs AI engine they love, like they thrive on those like forums. That's where they
Yep.
find most of their information. So I think this is really smart. I don't think it's going to be inauthentic. It's just the same way at least that you have ad and promoted content on other platforms. There just needs to be regulation to make sure that people are aware that this is done by
Regulation. Yeah.
by the brand.
Yeah, we just need some, guardrails, otherwise it's gonna be, a slop, a bunch of untrustworthy slop, but
Yeah, but it's the same as like social media, right? But
yeah,
yeah,
no, no,
I,
no,
I
I mean,
see I
it's
see what you mean.
yeah.
Reddit felt a bit like the untouched, social media. So it feels a bit like it hurts to see let it go. But I think they're just catching on with any other social platforms.
Well, advertising is a necessary evil. It helps the world run, and it will find
Exactly.
its way into any popular platform.
Exactly.
So it's
Um,
the natural momentum of things. But let's jump to our final story. We're going to split this one. This is all about the Roblox Q3 earnings report that just came out that was pretty impressive. Albane, you want to share some stats?
Yes, let's kick things off on this one. I'll share a few stats that's top line, but the one that everyone is talking about at the moment is obviously the fact that they have now reached 151 daily active users. So that is a 70% year-on-year growth. This is massive.
Huge.
Huge and something that funnily enough I'm not seeing a lot of people communicating around, but again to reassure brands that out of those 101 daily active users are 13 plus, and this is where we are seeing the largest growth is in the users that are 13 plus. That is a 89% year-on-year growth. So we are really seeing the platform aging up and being a lot more for young teens to adults as opposed to the under 13. So I just thought it's always reassuring to see that the
That's
growth is coming from the audience that brands are most likely interested in reaching. So I just thought that was something to highlight there.
that's huge, but I feel like the public perception is not that's not permeating through
It's still
public
not catching
perception
up,
yet.
but I feel it's because people are like, because I think the number that I'm seeing a lot on LinkedIn being communicated is the 150 daily active users. I would be shouting out more on the one like the 100 over 100
Totally
daily
agree
active
with
users.
that.
I 13 plus. I
Yeah.
think that should be really the focus. And the other thing to highlight here is that again, for the pessimistic, the argument could be maybe there's a lot of like 13 plus, but the people that are actually playing are the ones that are under 13. But actually, the 13 plus demographic are the ones that are spending the most time on the platform. So that is in Q3, that was 26.9 billion hours. Again, that is over 100% growth year on year. So not only there are more people that are like over 13 joining the platform, but there also are the ones that are spending the most time on that platform. So again, another reassurance for brands that this is the platform that they need should they want to engage with the Gen A's and the Gen Z's.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. But let's talk about like where the money is coming from.
That's right. So the other element that I wanted to point out is while it is true that APAC is currently where most of the users are coming from, the US, you guys are the ones that are spending the largest spenders of Roblox. So if you look at the number of booking by daily active users, the US is still the ones that is leading. They are representing 60% of the revenue of Q3, which is huge. And they're then followed by Europe and APAC, but 60%. So it just shows it's quite important for a brand when they are, thinking strategically. If your objective is essentially to generate revenue, and less focus on impression or visibility of your brand of a specific market, it's quite interesting to understand how people and what type of users are spending on the platform. And it's obvious that the US is currently leading and has more I think capital to spend on the platform compared to other platform. APAC is actually the lowest spender. So while they are the biggest users, they are the lowest spender on the platform. So I thought that was quite interesting for brands to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, these are great insights. And let's talk about how the costs are going up for the Roblox Corporation itself. Um,
Yes. Yes. So up next is the financial stats. So they've announced a 1.4 billion revenue, which is incredibly impressive. Again, another growth that the Roblox is announcing. I did wanted to point out as well that their cost of revenue has went up about 45% year on year, which means that they are still not profitable. So while they are making a lot more revenue, it also costs a lot more for them to run, and they are investing largely in three key pillars, which I wanted to discuss with you. So one of the first one is obviously the fact that there is more people to host on the platform, so there is a large increased cost on infrastructure. Another reason why the cost of revenue is larger is because they are paying creators a lot more. So that has increased by 85% year on year, which is kind of great. It just demonstrates that they have a healthy, I would say, creator economy and
mhm.
like activity on the platform. So yes, it's costing them more, but this is just showing the opportunities for creators when they are going on this platform. They can generate a large revenue.
That's
And the
right.
last one, which I think is kind of reflective of what's happened in the last like that quarter, is they're investing heavily on infrastructures for safety on their platform. So
In
that
moderation.
again, yes, exactly. So that has increased again. That spend has increased by 61%. So it kind of explained why Roblox is still not profitable, even with that amount of revenue. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it makes sense in my opinion. Like this is a growth platform. I don't think profitability is their objective at the moment. Their objective is growth. And it's more about investing in the right infrastructures and the right framework so that they can continue to grow and scale. So I wouldn't worry too much because I'm seeing a lot of like different opinion online about the fact that they're still not profitable and this is like a bad sign. But to me, where they are currently investing seems just, I guess, a normal and in the trajectory of a growing growth platform.
Well, yeah, the fact that they're not profitable is not great, but if you look at the year-over-year growth over the past few years, it's just, like, skyrocketing forward.
That's
So
right.
you can't ignore that, and the investors like that, it's exciting, but at some point, you need to turn a profit, otherwise, you can't just operate at a loss forever.
No,
So
I'm sure. I'm sure they probably have this conversation with their investors, but I would say where they're not investing in, I don't know, they are investing in what is going to be, the big pillars of their platform if they want to continue to grow. So I'm quite glad to see that, still investing, and this is a good signal to say that the creator economy is thriving. They have to pay them more. And then the other one is obviously the infrastructure and safety, which I think was a necessity with what's happened in like what we're seeing in the press. So I think they're just putting the right infrastructures that are then going to lead to probably more revenue in hopefully in the long terms around the ad side, because they need to convince marketers that this is a safe platform for them to advertise as well as scale.
yeah, it seems like they're making a lot of the right choices, so excited. I'm really curious to see how Q4 is gonna turn out, but,
Yeah,
at
I'm
this
sure
rate,
it'll be
it should just
fine.
keep
They're gonna
growing.
smash it. They're gonna
But
smash.
that covers the Roblox side. Let's jump over to the Fortnite side, and also an amazing platform that is doing fantastic things. You have a real time review for us this week.
Yes.
You want to tell us what that is?
Yes, let's get into our real-time review. So this has been live since the 1st of November. The IP, just a reminder, is that The Simpsons is owned by Disney. So I would say this is the second largest integration that we've seen since Star Wars, again, under the umbrella of Disney. They have a new battle pass as well. So there is a lot of different, like there's 5 skins to unlock of characters from the show for the next month. And something I thought that was really cool that I wanted to highlight from the get-go was that you can essentially connect your Disney Plus account, which I've done, to unlocked free perks. So you can unlock pets, you can unlock a free glider with aliens, which I thought was really cool. And you'll see it in my footage. And also something quite interesting, but to launch like the fact that it was live, they announced it at the Stockholm Comic Con, and that's what I did. So you could follow the panel live from Disney Plus. So again, when you were on your Disney Plus account, the whole homepage was taken over by the Simpson and Fortnite activation,
It's
which
dope.
I thought was great because we're now seeing more and more of those connectivity between the Disney partnership and Epic. I think at the time it's always been around Star Wars, and we don't really know what's happening on the metaverse virtual world creation side. So this was great to actually see different touch point of Disney being integrated outside of the IP onto this activation. So overall, what is the partnership? The full battle royale map has been completely redesigned. So this is super exciting because I think with Star Wars we didn't get that as much. So the redesign is you are essentially immersed inside the iconic Springfield town of The Simpsons. I don't think Nick I need to explain what The Simpsons are, right? Like I think
No, I
everyone
mean,
knows.
everyone knows what The Simpsons are. They've been on the air for 35 years. A lot of
Okay,
people
I
have
didn't
grown up
realize
with
that. Oh my
them. A
god.
lot of, yeah, I know. Yeah, I was watching since the beginning. I grew up with it. So I
Yeah,
think a lot of
same.
people
I grew
have.
up with it, so I feel like it was to me, like what it felt like was very much like a kid's dream to be able to be inside Springfield. But and I think what was really cool, and you can tell like this is there's been a really good partnership with probably the creatives and the team at the Simpsons with Epic Games, because they brought so many iconic locations. So you of course have the Simpsons house, which was unbelievable to be able to like see it like that. Stifler's house, the nuclear power plant,
The
Quick
classics.
Emart. Yes, you've got Quick Emart's shop, only to name a few, but there's so many like of all of those iconic buildings that you see in the show every time. And then you obviously have the characters. You've got Bart, you've got Curtis the clown, you've got Homer, that is also a boss. So you
Krusty the Clown,
Krusty the
not
Clown. What did I
Curtis.
say?
You
Oh, did
said
I say that
Curtis the
right?
Clown.
Yes, Krusty the Clown. You got Homer that is a boss, so you can compete against him and kill him. And you still have Marge that is also a boss, so that you have to defeat in the game.
Cool. Okay.
But it's just like I would really recommend people to like go check it out, because what worked essentially, what's made this really appealing is that the level of detail for me is what really caught me. I just love the fact that the whole town has been completely changed. It kind of removed a bit the fatigue that I have with Battle Royale, because I think I'm just a bit tired with the gamification, like just the principle of it. So I was really excited to see something completely new. And not only was it redesigned, but the aesthetic as well has changed. So it was obviously in the Simpsons cartoon style. There was a lot of like nods, sorry, to niche references, like Evil Homer or Flanders in his ski suit. So that's in there. So there's a lot of like really quirky, like little reference and like Easter eggs. So if you're a fan of the show and you've been following it for a while, I think you're gonna get a lot out of this, because there's a lot of like small little references that are really exciting. Um, the other thing that I think was really good, and I'll speak that in my negative, is that you could essentially, with your battle pass, you could still play UEFN and essentially it will have an impact on your battle royale progress. Because for those that don't know and don't really play Fortnite, you can essentially buy a battle pass that allows you to unlock perks, so like skins, but you still need to grind. So there's a lot of like either there's quests that you have to do, but a lot of it is essentially like leveling up. So it's time spent or achievement within the platform of Fortnite. And at the time, it was mainly focused on having to play Epic owned game. But now you can go inside
That's
UEFN
right.
creation and still like level up, which is good. However, I think my cons, and it's actually has nothing to do with the actual activation. I'm more looking at this from the overall ecosystem. This kind of partnership really impacts creators that have their own game inside Fortnite, because this is now taking all of the attention of Fortnite users off their own game. So we will
Mm-hmm.
speak about that to Margot, but when you are currently relying on an engagement payout that's based on people coming to visit your game on UEFN, when you have such a big activation like this, it's going to be very difficult for you to make any kind of money in the next probably like weeks, month, because so many people are currently playing this activation. And just to highlight that, I went on Fortnite GG, which is a data platform that tracks essentially the data around Fortnite. There was on the first day of launch, you had 50% of player accounts that were playing Battle Royale, and on the second day, that was even higher. So 40% were on the normal Battle Royale, and 30% were on the zero build. So it's a large majority of players that are playing Epic own game, which means that if you're a creator, it's going to have an impact on how much revenue you're going to make. I'm really excited to talk to Margot more about it, to understand what's her current take and pain points around Fortnite. We didn't get a chance to talk to her about this because it wasn't live when we interviewed her, but looking forward to having her on the podcast and talk more about
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Well, that's a great transition. Let's jump over to our interview with Margot Rodde, founder and CEO of Creators Corp, to get her take on the Fortnite ecosystem. Let's go. We're thrilled to welcome Margot Rodde, founder and CEO of Creators Corp. Her studio is at the forefront of the UGC gaming ecosystem, creating immersive games and helping major brands activate on immersive platforms like Fortnite. She was an early pioneer in the UEFN space, collaborating with iconic brands such as the US Open, Coachella, and Dude Perfect. Today, Creators Corp is expanding its influence, making waves across a variety of UGC gaming platforms. Margot, it's fantastic to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. Well, let's start a little bit with your background. What were you doing before Creator Corp, and how'd you get into this space?
So my background is on the agency side, like a lot of us. I started my career on the experiential marketing side of things. I worked for a bunch of different agencies out of London, and eventually started working on video game clients, amongst other. But I really loved the video game industry, and at some point, about like 13 years ago, I started my own boutique agency specializing in video game marketing. I ran that agency for 7 years out of LA. One of my very early client was Oculus, interestingly. So
Okay.
did a lot of work for them. And then from there, did some work for other VR companies and VR studios, and one thing led to another. I expanded in the broader video game space. So I learned a lot about the video game industry overall through that experience. Um, and I always dreamt about making game, but at the time, it wasn't really possible for me, right? Because, making games required a lot of investment and technical knowledge and this and that. So when the UGC game space kind of exploded through Roblox and then Fortnite, I just thought, okay, this is my opportunity to try this out. Um, so initially, when I started Creators Corp, I really looked at the brand side, because it's my background, helping brands kind of, um, join the space and activate. But I quickly realized that, it's a tough thing to do. And also there was a big opportunity on the original game side of things. So when I first started it, and it's funny how it all happened. I was on the client side, and we were looking to create an activation in either Fortnite or Roblox for HBO, for one of their big show. And I contacted Epic, obviously, because I didn't really know how to get started in the space. And so I contacted Epic, and they were like, "Oh yeah, there's a bunch of studio that do brand activation. You should contact one of them. Here is a list." So I picked up the phone and I called a couple of them, and then I realized, and again, I will say this every time someone asks me the question. I really respect everyone that started early in the space. Young up and coming creators that just grab the opportunities with brands and agencies, right? But my perception when I first started talking with the studio is that they didn't have the experience to deal with a very large client like HBO,
Hmm.
right? And so this is when I was like, okay, is there an opportunity for me to start something in the space and be that kind of like group that can help both the clients and then develop games. So, got in touch with a bunch of developers and realized that, it wasn't that hard to make games. I mean, it's a lot harder that, it sounded in the first place, but, it was feasible, right? Through a bunch of contractor, game developer, etc. Um, and so I kind of learned about the space, and then eventually, that project didn't happen with HBO, but I studied Creators Corp, and that's how we got to this point. That was a
I
very
love
long
that,
intro, I
and
guess.
you oh, sorry. You're right. Where I think there is a skill, obviously, to know how to create really native games, but also when you're trying to bring them onto a platform, working with a brand, that's another level of skill. So I love that you founded that sweet spot between the two. And you initially, I think you focused primarily on Fortnite at the start and UEFN. I love for us to get straight into the topic where a lot of brands at the moment are currently thinking about what other platforms that they have to go into, not all of them can go at multiple platforms at the same time. So could you tell us a little bit more about the Fortnite's demographic, the user base that's there, maybe how it evolved as well, knowing that you've been on that platform for quite a long time, and why a brand should activate within that specific platform and not another?
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting that you call it Fortnite because I think there's a difference between Fortnite and UEFN, and not everybody knows or understands that on the brand side, right?
Yes, you're
The
right.
perception, yeah, the perception is that it's Fortnite, but it's not Fortnite. Fortnite is the main game that everybody knows, and it's been around for like 10 years, and it's a huge success. And the majority of its success comes from like all the IP and brand partnership they've done over the years. And that's very much like the main like battle royale game. And then UEFN is their UGC game platform where creators can come in and build games and publish games. Um, in a way, it's kind of like confusing for brands because there are opportunities both in Fortnite and in UEFN
Mm-hmm.
to activate, right? And the cost is not the same. If you wanna activate in Fortnite as a brand, it's gonna cost a lot of money and it's gonna be tough. Partnerships are very limited to like really big brands and big IPs. It's a really tough negotiation with Epic directly, etc. UEFN is very much open. Anybody can do anything in UEFN. There are many different studios that are, building games, building brand games, can build brand games, and essentially you can do whatever you want to a certain extent, and to the extent of like what the tools that are given to UGC creators are, right. um One big major difference between Fortnite, UEFN, and Roblox until now has been the fact that Fortnite has kept the skins play on the game side, and it was not available in UEF. And they've just made some changes to allow creators to start like creating cosmetic, and from creators, obviously brands will be able to do that as well through that creator community or UEFN studios, right? So this is something that happened like very recently, and to be honest, we haven't been able to explore that yet because while we've been making games for 2.5 years in Fortnite, and we explored every possible way to monetize and do cool stuff for brands, we encountered some roadblocks, and we decided that we wanted to kind of like try out the platform. And in the last like few months, we've been working on Meta Horizon specifically, and I can explain why in next, but we haven't tried that piece. However, I think it's a really great move from Fortnite, because I think like brands were getting the stuff that was they were able to do on Fortnite, right? It was becoming like very limited,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think this was a reaction to brands leaving the platform, and I think they realized that they needed to do something at this point. Um, but we talked about this before, Nick. But there is a competitive aspect between Fortnite main game and UEFN platform, which makes things like quite complicated. And I think that the platform is suffering from that a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that evolves. But that's basically our perception from having done all these games and activation over the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like Fortnite and UEFN, do you think they're making the right choices to improve the platform and grow it? From two different perspectives. How does that affect the studios that are wanting to work with brands, and how does that affect studios that are just trying to make top games?
Yeah, I mean, so they again, this is a direction thing, right? They're working heavily on figuring out the discover algorithm to like bring diversity to the platforms in terms of games and what type of games are available, which then in terms lead to more options for brands to activate within these games. That's one thing. And then separately, they're making decision. And again, this is where I'm struggling because I'm like, are you building something for brands or are you building something for creators only, or a bit of both? We need to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until recently, it was very unclear. The latest move with the new cosmetic play and the way they open that up, indicates that they're interested in growing in the brand space. But it's very early days. That happened like
Hmm.
2 months ago, right? I mean, it's we'll have to see how that evolves before we can, assess basically. But I'm still not 100% sure what the play is there. It, you know, early days, it's always interesting because if you figure things out, there is always a way to make money, right? And that's what, we have to like generate revenue as a studio. So if you understand like, you early and you understand the space and you have the ability to understand the discover algorithm and you have the right relationship, you can generate revenue. But can you grow from there, right? That's the big question. I don't think like right now you can grow solely um doing like brands deals on Fortnite. I just don't think that's a real thing. I think like if your play as a studio is to tackle the brand and IP partnership side of things, you need to diversify, and that's exactly what we're doing. We didn't do that initially because we were doing both original games, partnerships with influencers, and then brand integration. So we didn't really need to do
Gotcha.
that. But now we figured that, okay, it's time to kind of like diversify because we're unsure of the future of the platform.
That's really interesting. I guess then what do you think Fortnite should do? Because I agree with you where if it feels like a lot of the movement that Fortnite has done feels a bit late if we compare it to other creative platform and other UGC platform that have had creator economies that have been more mature from a data opening point of view to like just the structure of how creators can monetize and therefore also brands. In your point of view, I guess what is currently still missing on Fortnite for it to be something that brands should really consider and already plan for like the next year? Like let's not even think for this year, but for the 2026 plan in virtual environments, do you think Fortnite should be on that list? Or would you like what's your thought, I guess, on that?
Yeah, again, like I think it all comes back to, you know, Fortnite UEFN needs to pick a lane. Fortnite also like Ethic also probably needs to decide whether their investment is going towards UEFN and this is their new platform for new user acquisition,
Mm,
or are they focusing on Fortnite? Fortnite is losing players every day, right? Like, let's be real about this. This is no longer the big success that it used to be. Yeah, it still has a huge amount of like CCUs, but it's not what it was like 7 years ago, right?
yeah.
So I think like, I mean, traditionally, originally, they were selling Fortnite as the more mature platform for teenagers, right? 15 to 20 something years old. So that's very interesting to a certain number of brands, right? I don't believe that, that's the audience of UEFN at all. Like the audience of UEFN right now is very young, very, very young. Okay. It's the same, it's pretty much the same as Roblox at this point. But they're not communicating that, right? They kind of like hiding that because they still want to sell their older audience and that opportunity. So I think like more for brand to really consider Fortnite, they would need, or Fortnite UEFN, they would need to be more clear about like the direction for the platform, what they want to build, so that we can identify what the real opportunity is, right?
Yeah, those are great insights. So you mentioned earlier that you are kind of shifting away a little bit from Fortnite and now jumping into Meta Horizon. I guess my question would be like, why Horizon? Like we know that Minecraft is a huge, kind of more established platform. So is Roblox. There's several others. Horizon's been small and kind of slow to grow. Like, why are you focusing on that platform?
I love Meta Horizon.
Nice.
It's funny, like I mean, there's always like emotional attachment to certain things. I guess the look and feel of Meta Horizon is closer to Fortnite, and that's what I really connected with in the first place. And so that there's that side. But no, really, I mean, the thing that happened is obviously Meta has been focusing on their VR headset and VR platform for a very long time, and I quite frankly, I never really believed in that. I think it's niche and it's great for niche audiences, um, but yeah, I mean, it's got its limitation, right? And I think like Meta finally understood that, there's a real strong play on the UGC side of things. They looked at what Roblox has done, and I mean, they're like a huge advertising platform. They have everything, you know, they have everything internally to make this successful. Mobile is huge, right?
Yeah, we agree. We're definitely
We're
also
very
bullish
bullish
on
on
the
Meta.
growth. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. We're watching it very closely. And congrats on releasing your game recently. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, minor tycoon. Look, we came up with an idea, we presented it to them, they loved it, and we spent the last few months like, building around that. They have been so supportive. It's really hard because, the discover algorithm it's not there. There are very few players on the platform, so it's like, how like we're testing like some marketing strategy with them. They're very supportive. There's a creators fund that helps with these things. Um, um, you know, uh, it's early days, right? It's interesting to like understand, you know, what works, what doesn't work, and actually giving them feedback on all of that, and being heard. It's interesting to kind of like tell them about our learning from other platform and how they can improve, obviously. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a great game. We love making tycoons, so it's perfect for us. But yeah, I mean, there are very few players in the game right now, so our goal is to like put it in front of like more players and get more
Mhm.
feedback. It's been really fun working on that with the
Yeah.
tools and everything, and now like obviously they're launching their next version of their creators tools, and so we're gonna be trying this out and learning, and we're building a team around that now, and this is kind of our focus.
I agree that these UGC gaming platforms need to pick a lane and kind of design the product so it can like support that vision. But
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
also think that brands, as long as these UGC platforms are going to be popular, and if they are open, brands will fight their way in because they want to
Sure.
get in front of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either the
Like they have
platform
done with
supports
Twitch
that,
and yeah, exactly.
yeah, or
Like
they don't support it. Either
mhm.
way, brands will find their way in, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, I think most important, just to wrap that, I think most importantly, it's more about what is the economy that's more attractive to creators, and I think that's why TikTok at the end attracted so many creators from Instagram or from YouTube. They managed to get a creator economy that was more interesting, and I think it's probably more. And I think that's what's really interesting for studios like you guys at the moment is that every single platform is fighting for your talent and is fighting for your creation. So I think it's just really interesting to see what are going to do with the platform, what model are they going to use to attract the best talents.
You're right, actually. And it doesn't necessarily always feel that way, but they
No,
should.
but
And
it
again,
is.
I'll bring back Meta
I don't
again, but
build
Meta is
anything.
very
I'm
good
just
at like,
watching from afar, and I
yeah,
can tell you guys, this is a
yeah,
battle of creators. Platforms are all battling at the
yep,
moment to attract the best talents that's going to attract the next. They wanna get the game that's going to be the next Only Up, the next Grow a Garden. So they just want to have the best economy that's going to let people create the best type of content and the best type
so
of games.
yeah,
Yep.
and you're right. With regards to the battle for to attract the best talent, obviously, like there is the creator, the monetization strategy for a creator, but like again, if you look at Fortnite, like the games that have been doing really well, it's the same games for the last like 2.5 years. It's been really, really
Mhm.
hard for new creators to break that kind of like top 10 group. But, it's almost impossible. And and that's not good. I mean, yeah,
Mm,
one having one grow garden or one, still a brain rot. Grow garden is a different situation, but let's take like still a brain rot. Like you don't want to have just one and one creator making all the money because that's just
exactly.
one opportunity for for, you want many of them. And again, like I haven't felt like the support with ethic that I'm feeling with Meta. It feels like Meta really understand they need to double down. And again, they're number three in that or number four in that race, right? They're just starting, so they're playing catch up. So it makes sense that they're investing, all that time and money in like grabbing great creators, but they're putting creators at the center, right? And
Mm,
I feel like Epic might have done that a little bit, like before the launch of UEFN, but from the moment they launched UEFN, and I don't think that was, the end of the work, but it felt like for them it was done. The platform was ready. Go. No more support, like no more specific support for specific creators that are helping, shape the platform. Not all creators do that. Like there are studios, groups, certain creators that put in more effort, more investment, more this and more that. There's nothing like more support there. And, to me, it felt like, hey, guys, this is not done. Like this platform is not, it's a good first, version, but there is a lot of work to make it like a real huge success. And it felt like for them it was just a done deal and now you do your thing, right?
Hmm.
Don't think that was the right way to look at things. They're gonna hate me for saying that.
Hey, you came on the show and you were honest, and we appreciate it. I think listeners appreciate it as well. And I think it's exciting to see how all of these UGC gaming platforms are changing their structure and kind of their direction. And obviously, we're all excited about Meta, so we're keeping an eye on that. But Margot, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate your insights, and then we would direct our users and our listeners to go check out Minor Tycoon from Creators Corp on Meta Horizon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Margot.
All right, and we're back. Albane, how'd you feel about the conversation?
I loved Margot's honesty in this episode. I think that was really refreshing to speak to her, and it kind of echoed some of the pain points that I highlighted initially. And I think she's absolutely right. Where I think there needs to be a little bit more of a framework or like a vision, a clear definition of what Fortnite's trying to achieve. So I really appreciated her candid opinion and like honesty on this episode. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And also, I think that, she represents this argument that we've had that there's this sort of arms race for talent across
Yes.
all these UGC gaming platforms. Like, who's going to make the platform open enough and with enough opportunity for studios to become successful financially? And she's doing this shift over to Horizon Worlds, which this is a real world example of that. I think we're going to see more of this sort of migration of top dev studios moving
Mm-hmm.
around to different platforms.
But by very time, let's go into hit, miss, and bet. And this week it is your turn. So I'm excited to see what you've got.
Let's go. So I've got some great stuff this week for hit, miss, and bet. My hit this week is this book that I found out about called Press Play: Why Every Company Needs a Gaming Strategy. Have you seen this book?
I have, and actually just today. So I thought it was really funny that you brought it up because I feel like we probably read the same article. But I did see it just today about it. So it looks really interesting. But I haven't done more reading on it or everything that it's about. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's a book that came out recently, written by Bastian Bergman, and it was published by the Harvard Business Review Press. So it's a pretty legit source. And essentially, it's just talking about how video games are no longer a niche medium, but a dominant culture and attention platform. And companies should therefore adopt a gaming strategy to engage customers in more immersive and authentic ways. And he also offers roadmaps for brands to get started, like how to get into gaming. So I've only read like one chapter. I downloaded the book, so I'm going to download the rest and read through it. And if there's anything more to add, I'll add it here. But that was my win of the week.
Great. Sounds like a guy that we should have on the podcast. We should reach out.
Perfect idea. Yeah, let's see if we can get
Bastien,
this
if you're
guy
if
on.
you're listening to this, please come talk to us here.
Holler at us. Jumping over to my miss, I don't know if you saw this. I was like shocked to see this, but essentially, ICE is made these recruiting ads using Microsoft's Halo game property. Have you seen these?
I feel like I saw something on Trump's account, like
I thought it
Instagram.
was a joke, but it's
But
not a
I
joke.
thought exactly, I just never know what's a joke, what's AI, but actually, I don't find that it's true. Tell me about it.
Dude,
Yes.
this epic fail. This is my miss of the week. So, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, posted a Halo themed recruitment ad on social media. And they used the slogan, Destroy the Flood, basically equating the immigrants that ICE rounds up and deports with the alien enemies that the players battle inside of the game itself.
That's
So
great.
that's like derogatory, it's disrespectful, and I think it sends like a pretty dark message. And then shortly after, the White House on its official social media account posted a picture of President Trump wearing the Master Chief armor from Halo.
I think that's what I see. That's can't
Dude,
speak today. That's what I saw.
it's super whack. And so the creators of Halo were outspoken about this. They said it made them sick and they were
Yeah, I
hated
could
to see it.
imagine.
Xbox has just kind of been silent because they don't want to get into the political side of it.
Mm.
But, I think this is just a massive fail. It's super disappointing. I think using IP that's not yours for political gain on no matter what side of the aisle is aw- awful. And it's just like it's not fair to do that. And I think it sends a negative tone. And also another critique is that these posts got a lot of likes and a lot of engagement. And so then you have to ask yourself, like, what does that say about the gaming community online in general?
Uh,
It's something that
yeah.
we have to like. Why were these accepted?
Yeah, and
So
I'm
yeah,
I'm surprised it's not even like I just maybe it's me like going back to like a legal point of view, but I'm surprised this is not IP infringement because if the Halo team was not aware of it and they're condemning it, then I'm assuming they had no idea that this was happening. So I would assume that it's actually not
I
allowed for
mean, maybe
them.
because it's like a public figure. I don't know. It'd be nice to talk to a lawyer about this, but yeah, it's I don't know. And I know that none of these big tech companies want to go against the president because it doesn't suit their needs in the long run. It's embarrassing. As an American, I gotta say I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, but there's
But
other stuff. Don't worry. There's
hey, every country's
we
got
see
its
you
dirt.
guys. We know that this is not all that there is, and this is
Yeah,
a phase.
yeah, fair. And moving on to my bet, and this is maybe inevitable. This is sort of jumping a few years in the future. I think you would probably agree with me, but I think that we're going to see a lot of AI-driven brand avatars coming
Ooh,
into gaming at large. I think more games are going to be live service based. They're always going to be updated. There's going to be way more interactivity and conversations happening between players and NPCs and other players. But I think kind of in line with what Reddit did or what brands are doing on Reddit to infiltrate and kind of be subversive and get messages out there. You could see a world where these are AI driven sort of uh, digital influencers
yeah,
disguised
yeah,
as
yeah.
NPCs, like dropped inside of gaming at large, just, being subtle about saying, hey, that wouldn't you, rock a Rolex on that? That would look really nice. It's like, is that some person telling me they like a Rolex, or is that Rolex straight up trying to sell to me? Um, and I think that the lines between reality and AI are going to blur, and we're going to be inundated. Um, and the amount of slop we consume is going to be insane. There's a big shift mentally that we will take in the next
Yeah.
5 years, and I'm here for it. I'm ready. I'm ready for the challenge.
You're you're here for it or you're ready?
You better be. Well, I'm just saying, you better be because it's inevitable.
I agree, yeah. That's okay. I think you're onto something with that bet. I really liked this hit miss bet this week.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of wonderful and horrible things happening all at the same time. But that's a wrap for this week. Everyone, thank you for tuning in.
And next week, we're really excited as well to speak to Rick Hack, founder of Empire House and former head of media and entertainment partner at Intel.
Looking forward to that. Okay, that's it. Edward, please read us out, sir.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane, Prioux and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Edward Regu, with creative direction by Joey Jerder and Javed Kazmi.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.